Okay, looks like we're live. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Tea Time with Tia. It has been a while since I've done one of these, but to be honest, there really hasn't been a whole lot out there to do a tea time for, especially everything out in the world. I just kind of wanted to take a step back and really just take my time, let everything breathe that's going on right now, and decided to do a podcast, not podcast, a tea time. Um, Finally, sorry. Blah, blah, blah. I don't have tea with me today. I have iced coffee because it is super hot outside and I don't know. I was walking the dog and I needed an iced coffee desperately. So I was like, you know what? It'll be coffee time with Tia, iced coffee time with Tia. It's still tea time with Tia. Forgive that I'm in my bedroom again with the gigantic thing of laundry in the back. We've all been working from home and I have no motivation at all to do laundry. None whatsoever. But the reason why I'm deciding to do this show is because we finally got a trailer for the second season of Doom Patrol. Now, I talk at length about Doom Patrol. When it comes to comic books, superhero shows, obviously the Netflix Marvel shows I feel like are always a prime example of how you should do your superhero shows. Not trying to shade the CW, but it's been a really long time since I've watched The Flash, and I've never been into the any of the other shows. But for me, like say Daredevil, The Punisher, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist. But you get what I'm saying. I mean, that's a what? That's a good percentage, right? But besides those, I put The Boys on Amazon Prime and Doom Patrol as like examples of some of the best cartoon comic book superhero shows that are on TV today. I praised season 1 like crazy because it was hella freaking good. Just so much talent there just to see Brendan Fraser come back, have Matt Bomer, Diana Guerrero, just so many amazing people in that show. It is so weird, but it's not afraid to be weird. Like, I love American Gods, and that can get weird, but Doom Patrol takes it to an entirely different level, and I appreciate every second that it decides to be weird as fuck. I love it. I can't wait for season 2, which will actually not only premiere on the DC Universe app, but will also premiere on HBO Max. So that's great news because I have HBO Max now, so I don't need to bother with the DC Universe app. That's a conversation for a whole other time. But the trailer just came out for Doom Patrol Season 2. Looks fantastic. First of all, I have to say that, again, it's just nice to see everyone back. I enjoyed at the end of that trailer how Crazy Jane expressed that her little ragtag group of, weirdos are her family. And I feel like that's something season 1 Crazy Jane was a little hesitant to kind of admit. So I like that we saw that Rita was testing her powers and her abilities out more. And that was really cool because season 1 really was her just trying to control herself from not becoming a ginormous blob. And for this one, where we're actually going to see her stretching and using that, I mean, that's going to be really cool. I think that we'll finally get the Elastigirl that we are so used to seeing, say, in the comics. Is Elastigirl Woman? I may be getting confused with the Incredibles now. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there's so much going on in the trailer for season 2, and I could have done a breakdown, but I necessarily didn't want to do that breakdown because there are so many things. I'm not well versed with the Doom Patrol comics, so I can't attest if there is a lot in the trailer that kind of connects with the comics or anything. I just know that it's definitely teasing in season 2 that they will be helping the chief find his daughter who has like super like crazy abilities, and whereas season 1 was Mr. Nobody and trying to take him down, it seems like they're going to try and rein in the chief's daughter so that she doesn't wreak havoc on everyone. But to me, it's like, I'm going to enjoy it no matter what. Seeing everyone come back, you know, seeing Larry, seeing Cliff, seeing Vic, they all mesh so well with each other. And of course, I got a flash in the, not the flash, but a flash in the trailer of Flex Montallo, who is probably one of my favorite characters in season 1. So I'm happy to see that he's going to be back. But this video is actually just to kind of remind everyone of some things that you should remember from season 1 going into season 2, because it has been a long time since season 1 has come out, and maybe we're all a little rusty in our memory bank. So I just figured kind of talk about some of the most important things to jog everyone's memory. So let me take a sip of my iced coffee while I get my notes. That's good. Anyway, so as I said, Chief's daughter is crazy powerful, and there was a whole episode in season 1 dedicated to Chief kind of essentially falling in love with the mother of his child, and how at first the chief was involved in the organization that, you know, is all about making people normal, right? They're the ones who had experimented on Larry. They captured Flex. They tried to, you know, take away Danny the Street. But at that time, the chief kind of explains how that organization was more so trying to be in search of people who were abnormal. And it was only after that they decided to shift gears. And it's like, if you didn't fit into the box of what they considered normal, then you were to be captured, experimented on, yada, yada, yada. Which, if you think about it, though, that whole thing in general is so abnormal for them to do. I don't know. But remember that the daughter is crazy powerful. And there was a whole episode, I want to say it was almost like the third to last episode of the season, was completely dedicated with Chief, which wasn't the most entertaining one for me, if I have to say honestly, but it's clear that that's going to really play a huge part in season 2. So let's go to the next one. Well, this is big, so let's keep on the subject of the Chief. We find out, I should probably say that there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this video, so yeah. But the chief is responsible for every single person's accident in the show. So in season 1, a lot of it is kind of told through like Cliff's perspective, which I'm completely fine with. I love Brendan Fraser, been a huge fan of his since the 90s, and was incredibly happy to see him get on a show like this and just get back into the public eye. So, but the show kind of starts off with his accident and why it kind of led him to the chief, and why he's now pretty much a brain in a mechanical body. We meet Larry, who was in a terrible plane crash. I know it's not a jet, whatever, you know, terrible crash, who then got kind of merged into that, you know, force that's kind of keeping him alive, but also kind of keeping him very nuclear and stuff like that. You know, Rita gets tripped into a pond and gets kind of, you know, I don't even know what it is. It looks like a freaking ball of green gas. You know, I'm doing an amazing job describing all this, you know, but that's the reason why Rita is falling apart all the time. Crazy Jane already had all of her 64 personalities. That's not new, but then all those 64 personalities get power. So that happens. And then Vic, you know, is in the laboratory accident and becomes cyborg. So you think all this stuff is just an accident and they just happen to be these people who were lost, and the chief found them, gave them purpose, taught them how to, harness themselves and take their, abilities and the things that make them so weird and different and use them for good. And you find out that it all was done on purpose, which is crazy. It's crazy to me in season 2 where they're going to be working with the chief and they're going to be quote unquote a team. Not that they're going to be a team, because they should be a team, but the fact that they're still going to technically be, it seems to be operating under the chief. Obviously it's in the spirit of getting his daughter back, but it seems like that may be something that ends up being permanent. Or maybe they forgive him. I don't know, but that's huge. You have Cliff, who was a successful race car driver, albeit was a terrible husband and really just self-destructing everywhere. But the accident that forced him to be a brain in a can killed his wife and cost him around 30 years with his daughter. So messed up. Larry, was a successful pilot, and he had, he did have a family. He had kids, so that took him away from his kids. It took him away from the love of his life, so he had to miss out on being with him. That's terrible. Rita was a successful actress who, could never obviously work in Hollywood again, had to kind of go off into obscurity, while Jane was still dealing with her 64 personalities after a very, very traumatizing childhood experience dealing with sexual assaults by the hands of her father. I forget if it's supposed to be her biological father or something, but, Chief didn't have anything to do with that, but he had something to do with her personalities getting powers, which you do see the personalities or I think at least Hammerhead was kind of saying like, well, at least this gave us power, but that could be obviously up for interpretation. And then Victor Stone, who was just, a normal kid who had to lose his mother and then pretty much lose his own life. He's, half machine, and that's just huge. So anyway, that's a lot to unravel. And even though in the finale of Doom Patrol, everyone kind of makes a statement where the moments in their life that seemed like they once were the most terrible actually were kind of the beginning of the rest of their lives, because Cliff, was a self-destructing, guy. Rita was a bit of a snob. Larry was living in hiding, so he discovers throughout the season that there's nothing wrong with being gay. He can be himself, and this is who he is, and he doesn't have to feel that insecurity anymore. And Crazy Jane, finally begins to appreciate all of her personalities and what they can bring to the table, and how they could honestly help other young girls maybe throughout the entire world and help them. And then Victor, this is his ability to really do really great things in his life, because he's always had that sorry everyone, but he's always had that spirit of helping. So they put a positive spin on it, but I just think, me personally, I wouldn't want to associate with the guy who I had to go through very painful moments in my life because of. But we'll see what happens there. Let's see the other things you need to remember. I love my little note. I said Cliff is the best. I love Cliff, aka Robot Man, played by Brendan Fraser. To me, he's probably one of the most important members of the team, even though realistically they're all important. His journey since day one has been one that I would say the most invested in, because he knew what he was like beforehand. And there's even a moment in the first season where he gets the opportunity to kind of go back and be a human again, and he realizes that he just goes back to the same old bullshit that he was doing beforehand, and that being a robot is actually probably the best thing for him, even though, you know, there's a lot of great moments in the scene, because that's the thing. It's a very weird show, but it touches upon some really like real feelings. Like in the middle of the season, Cliff kind of has to deal with the fact that he can't taste anything, he can't feel anything, but that doesn't stop his brain from craving those sort of you know, stuff, but he's just having all this like sensory deprecation, you know what I mean? And that's a lot for him to contend with. So to me, I thought he was great. I loved his relationship with Crazy Jane. He really viewed her something as, say, like a daughter figure, even if that was something that maybe she didn't want at some points. But I think that he was the heart of the group. He wanted them, yeah, at one point he wanted family therapy to push for them to all communicate with each other better. So I just really appreciate his character. But again, everyone's amazing. They all had their really great stories throughout the entire season, so that's amazing. I hope we get to see more of Flex Montello. If you guys remember, he's literally the guy that has telekinetic powers that he controls through flexing his muscles. And we all remember the moment that he flexed the wrong muscle and made the entire population and even Danny the Street orgasm. And it was hilarious. Everyone except poor Cliff, which he tried to pretend, but yeah. Oh yeah, and I said Crazy Jane is also amazing. Honestly, like one of the best episodes in season 1 was the episode that was completely dedicated to Crazy Jane and all of her personalities in the underground, and of course revealing why someone would feel the need, not, you know, them personally, but why their psyche would break into so many different personalities, which in real life, that is something that only happens really to people who have experienced a really traumatic moment in their lives, and it's their brain's way of coping with all of it. So her episode was really, really good. Another thing that you should know is that technically Rita has killed someone. I know that in the actual show, they've done quite a bit of killing, especially Cliff and Crazy Jane, especially in the episode where they fight against all the Nazis, which was great. So they killed a lot of people in a very gory and gruesome way. But Rita actually killed someone in her past. It is one of the things that she is hiding from people. Of course, so really quick, she, as I told you, was an actress trying to get work after the accident, and obviously she was keeping from the world that she couldn't really control her body, but she was still trying to remain in movies. But it seemed like she was a bit of a quote-unquote has-been at that point, because if there's something you need to know about old Hollywood, watch a documentary about Judy Garland. What Hollywood did to their actors and actresses back in the day was absolutely horrific. They would pretty much chew you up and spit you right back out. And that is what was happening with Rita. So she tries to go to a studio head. You can say that he was like a Harvey Weinstein character. He, of course, wanted sex to help her get into movies. And she tried to go through it because she, you know, wanted to do anything to get her career back, and turned into a ginormous blob and pretty much suffocated him to death, which I wasn't sorry about that. It actually made for a really great scene, because the secretary there seemed to be kind of judgment coming from her and judgment coming from Rita back at each other. The secretary saw his dead body, no questions asked. She was just like, you get out of here. You were never here. And I loved that. So technically she killed someone, and she also was very catty to another woman, which I believe caused her to kill herself and leave a baby behind. So that was big. Rita also was a lover of one of the old members of a Doom Patrol, Metallo. So there's those facts as well. Let's see. Oh yeah. I don't think that Vic's relationship with his father has really kind of, changed. They always seem to have this relationship where you never know if the father has good intentions or not. You find out that the father had to choose between Vic or his mother when they were in the accident, like who to save. And, you know, Vic kind of was always angry at his dad for quote unquote choosing him, but the father reveals that no, I actually want to save your mother. Instead, it was the chief who convinced me to save you, which is a really, really big thing to unload hearing from your father. So their relationship is always a complicated one, to say the least. Another is Mark Sheppard from Supernatural, was in season 1, and his character, which I should have looked it up, I am so sorry, but just know that his character is very similar to Constantine, because originally in the Doom Patrol comics, they want to have Constantine there, but for some legal bullshit reason or whatever, they couldn't use him. So they decided to make a character with pretty much the same traits and personality and just name him something. But Mark Sheppard did it awesome. And I'm not sure if it was in this trailer, but I had seen some sort of promo pic or whatever, and it seems like Mark Sheppard is going to come back for season 2. So love that. He was great. I hope we get to see more talking blue horse heads. If you're a fan of Doom Patrol, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's see. I guess really one of the last things that you need to remember is that Mr. Nobody, played by Alan Tudyk, probably one of the greatest character actors of all time. If you watch the Harley Quinn show on DC Universe, he voices the Joker and a ton of other characters, and he's just phenomenal. He was great at Mr. Nobody. I will admit, as great as the show is, the only questionable CGI were his scenes when he was in the full Mr. Nobody appearance, but you got over it really quick. His whole story was insane. How he's able to manipulate everyone, what he's able to reveal to everyone. He is such a masterful person throughout season 1. His relationship with the chief, their relationship goes far, far, far back with each other. He is actually the one who is able to reveal the truth to the whole entire Doom Patrol. He's also the one who gets the truth out of Chief about his daughter, who he's hiding, and he is a formidable enemy. But the team is actually able to defeat him in the season finale, essentially by getting a roach and a mouse to fight. No, they're not fighting with each other. I think they are trying to bang each other. As I said, this show is insanely super weird, but I love every single second of it. So as a result of that final battle, Mr. Nobody is essentially stuck in a painting, which I kind of hope he comes back for season 2. I know that, again, it seems like season 2 is going to be focusing on Chief's child and the power she has, and the way they make it seem is that she has powers that could perhaps even rival Mr. Nobody. I mean, if the Chief is this freaked out over it, you would have to imagine that something crazy is going on. So I don't know, but I hope that Mr. Nobody shows back up, because he just was really great in the season. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else really that you need to remember about season 1. You have time. You have time to watch all of season 1. It's absolutely phenomenal. The storytelling is great. There's a few episodes that are very filler, but even if they're filler, they're really enjoyable. Every character is weird. What I love about the show is that it's truly a band of misfits. It can really help you realize that it's okay to be different. It's okay to be an outcast. And there's nothing wrong with that, and you could potentially save the world. Even Doom Patrol, if there's any question, definitely lives within the realm of the rest of the DC Universe, I don't mean that as the DC Universe app. That's really confusing when they were thinking about that name. But what I'm trying to get to is they mentioned Batman, they mentioned Superman, they talk about Justice League, so it definitely lives within that world. But it also, another thing you should know is that Doom Patrol does live within the world of Titans, because it actually originated in Titans. Before Doom Patrol had its first season, they had a premiere episode in Titans season 1, which introduced Rita, Crazy Jane, not Crazy Jane, sorry, Crazy Jane wasn't it, neither was Vic, but it introduced Rita, Cliff, and Larry. Although, admittedly, they all kind of had different personalities at that point. I don't really like to count it, even though I like to think that they all exist within the same world. If you watch that one episode in season 1 of Titans and you watch season 1 of Doom Patrol, their personalities are pretty drastically different. They even have a different chief. They explore a different type of storyline. So very, very different. But yeah, I mean, it's so good. Doom Patrol, I just appreciate it so much. I'm probably going to go back and rewatch the first season just because I want to also have more of a fresh mind before season 2 comes out. But I hope that everything I said kind of makes sense. Just watch it. If you have HBO Max right now, watch season 1 of Doom Patrol. Sorry, I thought I heard my dog. But yeah, so everyone, please make sure that you watch season 1 of Doom Patrol. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, Tia Fabi. You can also find Geek Vibes Nation at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Vero. We are everywhere and anywhere, honestly. It's you just do it. I'm not making sense right now, but you know what I mean. So please let me know in the comments what some of your favorite moments from season 1 of Doom Patrol are. I should probably look up when Doom Patrol season 2 premieres so I don't sound like I'm talking out of my ass. How's everyone doing, by the way, with oh god, it is raining so much. How's everyone doing, by the way, with all the lockdowns kind of starting to lift after being pretty much holed up at home for so many months? Around me, all the restaurants have opened up their seating for outdoor seating, not indoor seating. And I gotta tell you that it looked a little too crowded at a lot of the restaurants, but I'll keep that to myself. Okay, June 25th. I know, long wait. So, not that long to go, but definitely enough time to watch all of season 1 of Doom Patrol. So, this is Tia. I'm going to stop while I'm ahead, and it was wonderful talking to you guys and getting back to another tea time with Tia. Hopefully, we will be back soon, and I will actually have tea that episode. All right, bye, guys. End stream.